And we're on. Hello and welcome to podcast episode. What episode are we on? 124 of Rope-a-Dope Boxing. I asked a question because it's been like literally 2.5 weeks, or nearly 3 weeks since me and Dave recorded. Yes, this is the Rope-a-Dope Boxing podcast, and the boys are back in town. I hope you've missed us. If you have missed us, please like, share, and subscribe. If you're new to the channel, do exactly the same. Like, share, and subscribe via YouTube, Apple, Amazon, and all the other podcast platforms. Dave's doing his finger wagging there along the bottom. While you're sitting there doing fuck all, listening to us, just press the button and get those algorithms going. But we are back. First time I spoke to Dave properly, just briefly off air, and we're going to go through a bit of boxing as well as a bit of Benidorm, because that's why we didn't see each other 2.5 weeks ago. There's been bits and pieces while we haven't recorded since. I've been on the piss. I've been back doing bits and bats with women's football. Dave hadn't recovered. But before we start talking boxing, he's going to elaborate on everything that happened in Benidorm, aren't you, brother? The alcohol poisoning, the dirty slags, the narcotics, Mickey Spa days, everything, mate. People don't want to hear me. They want to hear you. But firstly, I have missed you. How the bloody hell are you, brother?
I'm all right, mate. Like I said to you off air, it took me 5 days from getting home to recover. Like the first day I picked up Lee Harper, who's a friend of the show, doesn't listen. I picked him up at 3 a.m. to go to the airport. We was on the beers in the airport. We sent a photo in the group, me, Mickey, him in the beers. First beer at 3 a.m. Nice. And I didn't stop drinking until 4 a.m. the following Friday going into Saturday. So we worked it out. We was up for 25 hours. That was the first night. Got home about 4 a.m. Back up at 9. The smallest breakfast, and then straight on the beers again. It was the stag do that day, Saturday afternoon. Lee Harper was dressed in a wedding dress in red high heels. Me and Mickey were Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and there's a big picture. I don't know if you've seen it. Of all of us there, all superheroes and that.
Yeah.
That went all day and through again till 3, 4 a.m. And it was rinse. So Sunday was meant to be our last night, so we were going to take it easy. I think me and Lee Harper fell through the door at 3:30 in the morning, and we had to get up at 7 to go to the airport.
Well, that's what I expect you to do. I don't expect you to take it easy.
Well, yeah, no,
fair play, brother.
Right. Mickey had 2 spa days, so he had 2 massages in the hotel. At one point in time, he was sitting there reading a book around the pool. He didn't come with us. He came and met us later. He was in the most. I know what the way I felt last week. I did wish I was Mickey McGrath.
No, you don't.
At the time, I thought.
You don't.
What are you doing? The way I felt last week, I wish I'd have had a massage. But
off whom?
To be well, yeah, he got one in the hotels. It wasn't a special one where you get a happy ending, but there was probably that out there. But he probably looked at us in disgust because I shared a room with him, so I was probably the worst roommate ever because I just didn't stop drinking. I was, I knocked on the door one night at 4 a.m. and he let me in. Then I woke up in the morning and said to him, "What time did you get in?" And he went, "I'll let you in, you stupid." And that got me. But so I don't even remember him being in the room. But he's sensible anyway, and he was dead sensible out there. Like he no peer pressure. I'm the most easily led person in the world. You know, like if you're drinking,
mate, it's a stag do.
Oh,
it's a fucking stag. That's what you have done. Is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, to be fair to him, he was out in the events. You know, he was there in the daytime as a turtle. He was drinking and all that, but he would take himself off and he would have his own me time and stuff like that. Whereas I just stayed in the crowd in the fucking scrum with the whole of them and never left.
Yeah,
but like I say, and then on the way home, it was horrific for me. I felt shit. He's sitting there fresh as a daisy, old Mickey McGrath, you know, just reading the paper and just loving life. So he did treat it as he said he would. Fair play to him, but he doesn't buckle under peer pressure. He does his own thing. Like I say, he had two massages booked in the hotel. We was like, yeah, we'll see you down the bar. I spent most of the time just pinging in my location to tell him which bar I was in at that point. So he was part of it. But as far as the events go, he was there at all of them. Never missed anything like that. But he was home early most nights, and he did have some pampering and that. Yeah. Whereas I went fucking mental, but I did suffer for it. This is the first time I've been on a lot of benders. I've been on a lot of stag do's, 3-day benders and stuff like that. But you see this one I felt 40. Not at the time.
41 you are. You're 41 now. Get it right. Well, 42. If I'm 42, you're 41.
I'm 42 in 3 weeks' time. But
there you go.
But this is the first time when I've come home that I felt in my 40s with it. I've usually been able to cope with it a lot better, but it was horrific. And you know what perked me up? On Friday, I was doing a charity event for my work where
And that hair of the dog?
Yeah.
Hair of the dog? There you go.
Do you know what it was? I didn't drink all week. I couldn't face it. But you see, I was doing a charity event and I had to, because I'm management, I tried to be a spectator, but I was told because I'm management, I have to get involved. Anyway, I'm rowing a fucking dragon boat with 8 other people. You know, we've all got the oars, one on the side each, and we're racing against each other. So that is all I need after being in Benidorm. Anyway, after it was 3 drinks and that. So after I had a race, we lost, by the way. After we lost the race, I went straight to the bar and got a Budweiser. It was almost like fucking like the biggest pick-me-up I've ever had in my life. I felt so good after it.
It's like your shot of espresso you needed, but it was in alcohol form. Yeah.
Yeah, it was 4 days later when I got home, but so I was a zombie for 4 days. But yeah, long and short of it, mate, it was an amazing stag do. Lee Harper was good fun. You know, like he's the stag. He's walking around in I don't know how he didn't break his ankles in these high heels. He tried to take his like normal trainers with him, always like just in case, and someone just picked him and threw him on the top of the roof of a bar. So he could only walk around in the high heels or barefoot. So he was
like an old prostitute, did he?
I know. Like he did. You know what? He was one of the better looking birds there.
Right. That was what I was going to get onto. We probably got female listeners, but I don't care. This ain't a woke fucking boxing podcast.
Yeah.
What were the women like? Because I was throwing a few texts out here and there. So come on, guys. What what's the beer like? What's this out? And not one of you kind of responded to what the women are like. And Paul Mickey sent a photograph, a load of jewelries in a bar. Didn't even look like we're drinking. It was on Coca-Cola or lemonade or something. And I thought, is that it? So go and elaborate. What were the women like in Benidorm, man?
If you want to go and pull birds and that's your thing, Benidorm's not for you. Because let's go into a certain type of bird. But us blokes were probably best looking birds there, and because we were dressed as some of us dressed as women. So yeah, Benidorm's not really like that. They're over 60. They're over 60. They're good fun though. They are. Everyone there. It's a great vibe. It's a great vibe. They're all dancing to all the old school music and all that, and it's a good vibe. Like there's no aggro there. You know, like no one thinks they're better than anyone else, and everyone chats. And it's all good. Is it
Blackpool in the sun, Dave?
Yeah,
I've never been. So yeah, Blackpool in the sun. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, everyone's dead friendly and that. You know, just get chatting and laughing and stuff. But nothing major like that. But yeah, it was good. Like I say, Lee Harper had a great time. He had a good crowd as well. His mates are all good as gold. No, it was great fun. But I did feel in my 40s when I got home for the first time ever. I did feel in my 40s. So
as long as you enjoyed yourself, you gave him a good send off. Anything that's explicit, you can tell me off air. So anybody that wants to know any more details, just DM me. I'll let you know what Dave tells you.
Yeah.
I think everyone's been waiting for the Benidorm stories. So yeah, mate, that's what it's all about. Fantastic. I wish I could have been there with you. So I'll try and kind of catch up, if you like, at the wedding, which is only what we're in now, end of May, July 12th, is it? Yeah, it's not far away.
Yeah. Not
far away at all. Let's talk a bit of boxing. Mate, I've got to be honest. The last show that we done, I had the Saturday night off. I sat down and watched the boxing from Nottingham. I haven't been, because I've been busy doing other things. I don't know if you can see. Well, I've kind of been in the sun as well. I've caught a little bit of sun. I've actually gone brown rather than red for a change, which is unlike me. It's got the Celtic kind of blood like you. And I've been all over the place, news-wise I have. I caught up with Fisher and Allen at the weekend, which we'll go through as well, but I didn't see anything else. So this is a good chance as well to us to kind of recap everything, go through the previews for the weekend coming up, and then Monday we'll be back on our normal review show and on our Thursday preview show with a bit of David McDonald thrown in as well. So, yeah, I don't know what you've been like, mate, catching up with the boxing. We all wild shite, so...
I've caught up now, but yeah, I wasn't watching anything at the time because I was spangled, but... I've caught up now, mate, and yeah, I'm glad to get some sort of normality. This is normal to us now. We've been doing this for 124 shows, like nearly 2 years now. This is, it feels normal to be back. So yeah, good few things to go through.
Definitely, let's get back to it. So I'm starting here, ladies and gentlemen. The MVP card, well, nearly 3 weeks ago now. Daniel Perro was on the, I think it was Miami, wasn't it? He was in against Cesar Navarro. Now, we spoke about his brother. Lenier Pero a couple of weeks previous didn't really deliver from what we kind of hoped he would do. So we went down the route of the younger brother, see what he was all about. Now, both these guys are ranked quite highly with the WBA. Nobody really, especially this side of the pond, doesn't really know much about Pero unless you're a hardcore fan or you live in the States and things like that. So we thought we'd have a nose at him, see what he's all about. Olympian, you know, I think he's orthodox, his brother Southpaw or vice versa. So just I wanted to have a nosy. Now, anybody that's on their audio feeds, I've written my banner, my normal banner. Are the Pero brothers a threat to the heavyweight division? Going on one fight for both brothers, I can kind of talk about both here, Dave. My answer at the moment is no. Not for me. It was a really good fight compared to the shit that we got the week before with Brian Garcia and Canelo. This was brilliant compared to that. It was a really good, fun fight for 10 rounds. But what I took out of this, we'll speak about a certain fighter later when we do our previews. I was more impressed with Cesar Navarro. So I've gone talking about Pero to talking about Navarro, this tough Mexican that wants to be a world champion. Don't get me wrong, I don't think he will be. His heart's on his sleeve. He takes shots with his face, puts Pero down twice, Dave, loses the fight on all three cards, 96, 92, which is a kind of disgrace if you ask me. Wasn't bothered. He threw the kitchen sink. Now, I'm kind of going to jump a little bit before you come in and give your thoughts on Pero, because I've kind of summed it up, really. They're not really a threat. They don't do anything that's going to be a threat to the top 15, if you like. There is a way of beating them. Both of them are very, very hittable. They don't hit as hard as I thought they would do. Things like that. So I wasn't impressed, guys. But we got somebody coming over at the weekend to fight Moses Atuma, Dave's prospect from last year. And we'll go into to the fight briefly, because I don't think it's going to last very long. If you're going to keep Moses Atuma at a level where you're just building that CV or that career into 20-0, guys like Cesar Navarro, give him the fucking call, because this guy will get beat by Moses Atuma, but he will come forward and he will fucking throw punches. The guys Moses Atuma have been in so far don't want to know. They can't throw. They go to survive. This guy came to roll the dice, wanted to beat Pero, wanted to move on to MVP and do all sorts of different things. Humble as fuck, great fighter. And I walked away with kind of more answers from Navarro than I did for Pero, Dave. It was, it was a good fight for well, I say how long it lasted. It did go the distance. But when I expected us to kind of wax lyrical a little bit about the Pero brothers, I don't see anything there that excites me at their brother. What did you see from what we've done? Yeah, go on, mate, from the Pero.
Yeah, no, to be fair, the first couple of rounds, obviously Navarro come straight out of the traps and pushed Pero on the back foot. Yeah. And I thought, here we go. No, he's going for it, throwing bombs and stuff. The second round, I thought Pero boxed very well. And this is where I was starting to think, oh, wow, like his output was good. His shot selection was good. He was going to the body. And I thought, for a heavyweight, he's throwing a lot of shots here. Some real good work. And I was thinking, here we go. Third round, wallop, overhand right. And how he got up on I'll never know. The referee, I think, helped him a lot there, really, because he was out on his feet, and and there was still a lot of time in the round. So he did well to survive. He got knocked down again, but did well to survive the round. I'm with you. I thought it was a good performance from Navarro. There wasn't much technically there, but he's game.
No, I agree. That's what I meant. That's what I meant about him coming forward and throwing, and at least asking Moses a question on his chin. That's what I meant.
And he would, because that overhand right is a dangerous weapon. It's just nothing. He's got nothing else really. Yes, he will try and push you back. He's a tough man. I kept hearing the comms saying he wants to be the first Mexican heavyweight champion of the world. But I was thinking, well, what about the other guy that beat Joshua?
Oh, you're on about Ruiz? No, yeah. The difference is Ruiz was born in America, so he's on about the first Mexican-born heavyweight world champion.
I kept thinking, they just forgot about Andy Ruiz, have they?
No.
But I thought there was a lot to like there. Skill-wise, I think Pero's very good, but I'm with you. For me, he doesn't have that equaliser. He doesn't have that power. Yeah. I think the problem he'll have is that people will push him on his back foot, put his back to the ropes and try and walk him down.
He was a lot bigger than Navarro, Dave, as well. Sorry, mate. He was a lot bigger, height-wise, reach-wise, weight-wise. I remember him saying there was 20-odd pounds between them as well. So he had all the advantages, but didn't really kind of use them. I don't think it was a unanimous decision. I'll probably agree that he may have won by 2 or 3 rounds. But
he definitely won the rounds. But that was 2 knockdowns in the same round. So that's a 10-7 round. So that's already 3 points. So it should have been a lot closer. But skill-wise, he was a better boxer than Navarro, without a shadow of a doubt. But Navarro was game, so it made a fight of it. And but no, I'm with you. At the minute, I don't see him being a threat to anyone in the top 10, top 15. based on the fact that, heavyweights, you're likely to be put out in any second. And I just don't see that with him. I see he's very skill wise. You can see he's had amateur pedigree. He can box. He throws good combinations. He goes to the body, and his output looks good. But for me, I don't think that he carries any pop. And I think again we talk about earning respect from shots. He never earned Navarro's respect. So Navarro's just trying to walk him down and pull him into a dogfight. And then you're talking about Navarro's little level. So if you're going into other levels, for top heavyweights, they all seem to have that one punch power. For me, he couldn't put a dent in Navarro, and that's what concerns me with him.
I thought Navarro's shots are more eye catching. I've got to be honest. I mean, went into this review kind of looking at Pero, but
I looked at it as I was watching the fight, because obviously I watched it later. The first 2 rounds, I was thinking, do you know what? He's a lot better than his brother, and I thought, I like his output for a heavyweight, because sometimes heavyweights can be cumbersome, and it's like Joe Joyce, boom, but he looked quite fluid in what he was doing. And I thought, here we go, bang. Then he come out for round 4. I thought, this is going to be a masterclass here, and then we wax lyrical about him. Then Wallace, as I say, the fucking overhand right in the third round, bang, in the first minute of the third round, and he was starched. Like I say, he done well to get through that, but I think the referee had a lot to do with that, because he could have been stopped on his feet.
Mate, offensively, he's got the Cuban style, hasn't he? But I was surprised how easy it was for Navarro to land on him. I've got to be honest, because normally the Cubans are very good offensively and defensively, aren't they? So he's only got one of the two, and he was a former Olympian, which it's kind of gone out the window. He's
still got that Olympic style, though. For me, it's the shots are they're not there to really to hurt. They're more to point score. So he looks very good for on his toes for a heavyweight, but he doesn't look to me to have the killer instinct, and I think he's going to need it. For sure, he's going to need it. Definitely. Let's
jump over to the UK then. Obviously, we'll see what happens with Pero's progress and Navarro for what it's worth. Anthony the Cacace. So I've written on the banner, guys. Cacace the Apache's Indian Summer. I don't know if you like what I did there. Just come to my head. Apache Indian. So we had Wood versus Cacace in Nottingham. It was a super featherweight, first time for Lee Wood. The IBO belt was on the line. Obviously, we know the story with Cacace vacating the IBF. Didn't want anything to do with Sugar Nunes, who fights next week. I'm interested to see what he does next weekend. But this fight, Dave, both age 36. Wood's been very inactive. We know. We said last week that we knew Cacace back end of his career. Now he was the better boxer going into this. Done everything better, bar the one punch power, if you like. And this was a good fight. I mean, the card. I sat and watched the card on a Saturday night, and it wasn't great. There was a few good things to take out of it, but it was a bit for another UK card. It was a little bit of a stinker. But this was, the roof went off when this one started. And going into the fifth round, I had it 2-2. They were both having a little bit of a feel out. They were both landing right hands. Can you take my power? Can I take yours? What can you feel? Bit of a down low for both of them. And it's like going into the fifth, mate. Cacace kind of like thought, well, you've landed a couple on me. I'm quite comfortable. Now I'm going to do Cacace things. I'm bigger than you. I'm stronger than you. I've got a longer reach. This is mine. He can go up to about super lightweight. Cacace. He's absolutely fucking huge. Started boxing well. Got beyond the jab. Used the uppercut. I think, and then we got to round 9. He was kind of breaking Lee Wood down, in my opinion, mate. And he hurt him. Lee Wood bounced off the ropes to keep up. He was buzzed. The referee gave him a standing count. Next thing you know, the Apache smelt blood, went after him, pummeled him all over the shots. He was running away from, to get out of danger, Lee Wood. And he was done. The towel came in. It was the right decision from Ben Davison. It was the right stoppage from the referee. Anthony Cacace just looked a level above Lee Wood. And I don't want to go down the route of making excuses for Lee Wood, saying, it's the activity and this thing's been going on behind closed doors. And we've always said in the past, I've definitely never backed Lee Wood in the past. 9 times out of 10, I did with the Lara fight. I didn't with this one. He's kind of overachieved, but he's always been dangerous for 12 rounds because he is in exciting fights. He does carry that one punch power. Again, never called for retirement on air on this podcast, guys. But after the 4th round, I thought Lee Wood looked very old. I thought he ran out of ideas, didn't know how to break him down. Defensively, not very good. After the fight, mate, it's kind of a shoulder shrug, whether he was disappointed and letting his Nottingham fans down. It just didn't look like the old Lee Wood. It really didn't. And even Anthony Cacace came out and said, that wasn't the best version I beat, but I still beat him and I beat him well. And so he did.
Yeah.
But yeah, fair fucks to Cacace in his Indian summer. He's 3 champions he's beaten in a row now. Who he fights next, we'll get on to. But where Lee Wood goes from here, brother, I don't know. I'll be very surprised if he fights at this level again, you know.
Yeah, like I say, I think inactivity for Lee Wood. I don't think this was just the right type of fight for. I mean, obviously, hindsight's a wonderful thing, but Anthony Cacace is a problem, and the amount of time that Lee Wood was out for and really inactive, it was a risk taking a fight like this. So fair play to him for doing it, because he could have took one before it. But for me,
you're right. You're right. He jumped straight up to super feather, didn't he? Yeah, you're right, man. Mate.
I mean, that's it was a risk. Now, Cacace just looked bigger. He looked stronger. He looked fitter, and you see he's been active. He had everything in his favour. And you're right. Like I say, it felt like he was downloading in the fight. Like it was like, okay, we'll see what you've got here. Listen, Lee Wood is known for being a danger, so you do have to watch that. That one punch power that he has got. So you do have to, maneuver yourself around the ring early, especially early, just to sort of have a feel out. And that's what I felt like Cacace was doing. And then where Cacace felt like he had gears, and he started to go through them in the second half of the fight, where I think the inactivity for Lee Wood meant that he was there. It was one paced, and you could sort of see him, his soul being broken. His mentality was, he was broken. You could, as Cacace's gaining, getting on the ascendancy, you could see Lee Wood wilting. And it sort of showed with the stoppage. He turned his back. He was sort of running away.
Yeah.
And the referee had if a fatality didn't come in, he had to stop it. You can't be turning your back. He was running. And what's the worrying thing for Lee Wood is that Cacace, I felt like Cacace could go even through more gears. It's a really good performance. Cacace's a really likable character. Like these are the sort of stories for boxing that we like. Like
I think he hits harder than his record suggests as well, Dave. Don't you?
He does. You know what it is? It's the accumulation. It's the accumulation of punches. It's not one punch power, but like it's these thudding shots. Time after time, they just break you. They break your will, and that's what I feel like happened with Lee Wood. And I mean, it's you feel like you're in the fight early in the fight, and then that power still carrying on through. The engine's still carrying on through, and and then obviously you're thinking, oh my god, like he probably felt that he could go no further. So it's sort of survival mode then. From sort of, I felt from round 5 it was sort of survival mode for Lee Wood. Now again, it's a new weight. He's gone up in weight. He hasn't tested to see if he carries his power up there. He's gone straight in with a Cacace who can take a shot. Who's a tough man. And I just it's like I say, hindsight's a wonderful thing. We could have said, oh, you should have, but he should have. We always give you one. Like when someone moves up in weight, we all speak it on here. I'll give you the first one. He should have gone in there and see if he can. We still don't know whether he's brought that power up with him, because he couldn't tee off on Cacace. And even when he did land shots, it didn't really put a dent in him. So it was a risk that didn't really pay off. Like I say, you need activity. He's a tough man, Cacace. You need activity. You need to have full camps. You need to be prepared to get into it, because even if you do outbox him, you're going to work for every minute of every round with Cacace. He has got some engine, and he throws lots of shots. He throws lots of hard shots. I just don't feel like the preparation prior to the fight was the right thing for Lee Wood, and it turns out to be the case, really. But Cacace, fair play, man. Like I say, his story's great. I'm glad he's injury free as well, because prior to when he got put onto Saudi, injuries were a big thing. And I say you said there, he's beat 3 world champions, and fair play, he's beaten well. And then yes, you could talk about Lee Wood being inactive, and is it coming towards the end? He was still a world champion only a couple of fights ago. He's not fighting old men. He is fighting champions. More or less current. Like I say,
he's fighting live dogs, isn't he? Really,
he is fighting live dogs. He's not just beating them because they're at the back end of their career.
No.
So fair play to him. Like I say, he's making a nice few wedges for his family, and he's been a world champion. He's done it. So no, fair play. Good performance, man. Like I say, you need to be fully prepared to get him with Cacace. I don't feel that Lee Wood, that preparation, was there for that. I don't believe.
36 years of age, both of them. You just mentioned it there. Cacace's inactivity with his injuries and fights not happening. He doesn't look like he's, even though he's got the big beard. Yeah, he does. He doesn't look like he's got miles on his clock.
You know why he looks fresher? Because it's probably because of the injuries. You know what I mean? He hasn't had that full career because he's had a stop start. He's probably got a few less miles on the clock than Lee Wood, who up to now was active.
Yeah, definitely. But again, where does Lee Wood go from here? Do you want to see him again?
I do. Like I say, I think it was the wrong mistake. Oh, I think it was a mistake. I mean, it's easy to say now because of what's happened, but I feel like he should have worked himself into that weight. Yes, he carries power. He's a 4 world champion. So usually it springboards you into positions when you move up. But I think he should have had a couple and then had a meaningful fight like this. And I know they have times not on their side, but if Lee Wood still has the desire to carry on, I think the next one he goes have one where
I can see the Josh Warrington one being made again.
So you reckon?
Because I can see it being made again because I don't know where else Lee will go. Does he want to go back down to domestic level? Probably not. The Lee Wood, the Josh Warrington one had a bit of controversy with it, didn't he? Warrington was winning the fight, then he got iced on the floor, got up, turned his back, and it was called off. You could use that kind of narrative. So I'm not sure where he goes, but with Cacace, Dave, they were talking about O'Shaquie Foster, and to me, I'll tell you what, I want him to do the Conlon fight. Because if he's talking, he's 36 years of age, yes, he ain't got many miles on the clock, but he's talking about making as much money as he possibly can for him and his, and his kids and his kids and things like that. So Conlon in Belfast, a Belfast derby, it's a sellout. He'll make a lot of money. They can sell the narrative that way. They're an all Irish kind of thing. Conlon's on the crest of the wave now, trying to rebuild his career. Cacace is the champion, IBO belt. You could sell the fuck out of it. But they was talking about O'Shaquie Foster. Now, it doesn't annoy me. But I'm thinking, if you're going to try and bring O'Shaquie Foster over to Belfast, none of the Belfast lot know who O'Shaquie Foster is. Hence, they don't even know who Sugar Nunes is. Now, he would have been the champion against Nunes in Belfast on the A side of the money. If you're doing O'Shaquie Foster, even though you're at home, you're the B side. He's the one that's got the belt. So you're going to be on less money, and it's another fucking tough fight. O'Shaquie Foster ain't Lee Wood. No. O'Shaquie Foster take you to school and make you look a prick. So I don't want him to go down the O'Shaquie Foster route, because if he did, Dave, I kind of think, well, why don't you do Sugar Nunes then?
Yeah.
But
it looks like the Conlon fight makes sense. I know why he's sort of done it, but it looks like a duck. If he's going to give up his world title.
To be fair to him, Dave, he hasn't said it. It's like the team around him and fans and that kind of thing. That's the O'Shaquie.
If he gives up his belt against a certain fight and then goes and fights for the belt against someone else, it looks like a duck. Now, I don't want to label that to him, but it does. Because why wouldn't you just keep your belt and try and unify or fight your mandatory and then do it that way if that's what you desire to do? It just doesn't make sort of sense.
Conlon's perfect. Age 36, he's a better fighter, he's a stronger fighter. Well, when it comes to skill set, it's a debate there because Conlon's got all the skills in the world. But as we know, you've only got to tag him with a jab when he's down. But that to me makes perfect sense. At the age of 36, topping up your pension pot rather than your legacy. You've got to do Conlon, ain't you?
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, that sells massively in Belfast.
God, yeah. Nobody knows O'Shaquie Foster outside the boxing community.
And the thing is, I don't see O'Shaquie Foster coming to Belfast.
Bob won't let him. Bob won't let him, will he?
Yeah, Cacace would have to go to the US for that.
There's no way Bob lets him come over here and get screwed. No way.
No.
Even if he has got a relationship with Frank Warren, but good luck to both men going forward, whatever they do. On the card as well, guys, Liam Davies versus Kurt Walker. Davies was up at featherweight. He'd been schooled by Shabazz Massoud down at Super Bantam. New start for Liam. Got a unanimous decision win here, Dave. Didn't really know too much about Walker. We know he's part of the Conlon team, Jamie and Mick. He kind of fights like them to an extent. Yeah. The difference in the two fighters I saw, mate, was speed. I thought Kurt Walker was kind of downloading too long. He was very slow. His shot selection, he was kind of waiting too long. Didn't have any pop. Liam Davies didn't do anything great, but he kind of had that road bump against Massoud. Gone up to this level now. Got into the ascendancy, some nice big shots, didn't take Walker out, obviously, but as it went to a points win. But it was a nice, comfortable toe dipper, if you like, into featherweight before maybe he can get the winner of this weekend, Nathaniel Collins and Lee McGregor, before he, breaks the top 15 of this weight division. But yeah, comfortable win for Liam Davies, mate. I think they both went for the KO. Walker was tough, but just a bit too slow, a bit too off the pace, too inexperienced for Liam Davies, So was it a great fight to watch? Possibly not, but no complaints. I probably would have given Davies, most of the rounds, to be honest, mate. I don't know what you thought.
Yeah, I totally agree, mate. I totally agree. And then, like you said, like we just spoke about there with Lee Wood, I don't mind. Listen, I'm not for a minute disrespecting Walker, but go in there and dip your toe in. Like Walker is not the equivalent of a Cacace. See what I mean? The risk is not there. Yeah, like I say, we know Liam Davies is a very good boxer. Very good boxer. And he showed that. Like I say, he was first to everything. That was the problem with Walker, is that he got beat to the punch in most of the exchanges, and that was the difference in the fight. It took too long to download. Liam Davies was a little bit sharper. Yes, it wasn't a great spectacle, but it was an okay performance. It was an okay performance. Again, there's question marks on power, but there always is, around these weights. But this was more of a toe dipper into a new weight, and I'm okay with that. I've got no issues with that. So it was an okay performance. Yeah, it didn't set the world alight, but it was a steady performance in with what you expect when you first move up in a weight. You just want to get that. I mean, don't get me wrong, we don't know for sure, but you sort of want to get that one out of the way. When you get into a new division, you want to get the first one out of the way, have it, feel the sort of power around that weight, see what you're working with, and then move on. And that was basically what it was for Liam Davies.
Basically, that's all I think we can sum up with that fight, to be honest, mate. As I said there earlier, I don't think it was a great card to watch. I mean, Chris Congo was on this card, started off well, and he got beat by Owen Cooper. I don't think that was supposed to happen. Ezra Taylor was supposed to be knocking out dudes there right at the centre. It's kind of gone up in class a little bit. It was a bit of a Labour performance, but done enough. And as we said a couple of weeks ago, mate, Sam Noakes was just keeping busy. He had a Latvian bin men in front of him, stopped him in 3 rounds. I mean, he
needs to step up now. Sam Noakes for me. There's only so many. No, he's a very good fighter, but I think his opposition now needs to be upped. They need to start pushing him in a direction for me.
Definitely. On the Saturday night 2 weeks ago, Emmanuel Navarrete, one of our favourites on this podcast, was up against Philippines' Charlie Suarez. It's for Navarrete super featherweight title. I've got to be honest, Dave. Watching the weigh-in, Navarrete looked awful. He looked drained. He looked gaunt. He looked dry. And this is the weight he likes to fight at. Obviously, going into fight night, he filled out. He'd rehydrated very well. But when he was up at 130 or 135, when he fought Berencic, he fell short and it wasn't for him. So I'm not too sure what he's going to do going forward.
He must struggle with the weight, mate, to even dip his
First time I've noticed it, mate. Yeah, but first time I've noticed him.
But that's why he's
awful on the scales,
Yeah, but that's why he's dipped it. Like if he'd have had success at that weight, he wouldn't have dropped back down. Probably, he is probably struggling at the weight, mate. That's probably what you're noticing.
Yeah, it was more noticeable this time around than it was his previous fights. But going into the actual fight, mate, this was it was a typical Navarrete fight. Front footed from both men, very exciting. I had Navarrete 4-1 up, going into the 5th round. All shots on different angles. Asked Suarez questions. Suarez had never been in with anybody like Navarrete, so he was tucking up a lot. He was on the back foot a lot. However, as me and Dave did say, he would be in this. He'll be game. He's from the Philippines. He's looking to be a great, just like a few of his countrymen, looking for that right hand, setting it up with the left. It was a really, really good fight, wasn't it? Well, I thought so anyway.
Yeah, it was.
Got into the 6th round, and watching it live, I automatically thought it was a head clash because you see them both go in. You see Suarez duck. All of a sudden, you see blood pissing out. So anybody that hasn't seen it, think of Tyson Fury versus Otto Wallin. It was kind of a carbon copy, but the blood was spitting into Navarrete's eye. Oh, fucking hell. That's a bad cut. Yeah.
It was a bad cut.
Referee, doctor, as a nose at it, carries on, wipes it a little bit. And then all of a sudden, mate, Suarez goes kind of, right, I can literally smell blood. That is pissing into your eye. This is when I roll the dice. He fucking put it on Navarrete, didn't nearly stop him, but hurt him, buzzed him. Done exactly the same in the 7th, was going for it, really putting it on him. Obviously, it was stopped again. Doctor got involved and it was called off. But that wasn't the issue, was it? It was the issue that it was stopped on a cut from a head clash rather than a cut from a punch, which it was from a punch. And people were saying he's been robbed. I totally get it. In the true sense of the word, he wasn't. This is maybe where VAR could play a part going forward, Dave, because it was a clear. You go back and have a look at the VT. The cut is off a punch. So am I banner there, ladies and gentlemen? Navarrete versus Suarez does need rolling back. I was thoroughly enjoying it. It's a shame how it ended. Nobody's fault. Maybe you can have a look at the judges if you like, or as I said, VT going forward, looking at that. But it generally did look like a head clash. I don't think there was any kind of brown envelopes involved there, if you like. It'd be something to look forward going on. But because Charlie Suarez kind of came at Navarrete, yes, the blood was in the eye and it was hard for him to see. He kept wiping it. It made it an even better fight. So I'm game, man. I'd love to see this. Suarez, we did say, to be fair, going and having a look at him, didn't we? We did say he's going to be better on the night than what his record and his opponents suggest on paper. And he was to me, he was losing rounds at the beginning, but he was always in the fight. Always in the fight. But yeah, what did you think, mate? I thought it was really entertaining for what it was.
It was really entertaining, and Navarrete does that. Navarrete pours forward, throws lots of shots. In this fight, I mean, in all his fights, he throws lots of wide shots. He's wide open through the centre. He sort of falls forward in a lot of shots that he throws. So
he does,
like I say, how he doesn't have more head clashes, I'll never know, because the way he sort of just falls, the way he throws punches and falls forward, that I can't understand how he didn't. And that's it was a head clash that stopped the fight, but it was an exciting fight. Like you say, Charlie Suarez was soaking up a lot of pressure, but again, he was always in the fight, and but he was losing the rounds. He was losing the rounds up to that point. But like I say, the most controversial thing was that. And I thought it was a head clash when I saw it.
Everyone did
straight away.
Everyone.
And it was the way the angle was, because he threw the shot and Navarrete was sort of square on. And as he sort of turned his head, their sort of heads did sort of brush past. And when they sort of came out of the clinch sort of thing, the cut was there and it was splurting. Yeah. So it did look like there was heads involved. It's only when you look back at the replays that you see that it wasn't. So it's one of them things, but it should be rolled back. It was a good fight up to that point. And Navarrete, at that weight is like that. He is exciting. He does pour forward. He was catching Suarez with a lot of shots, but Suarez seemed to be he had his back on the ropes. He was taking a lot, but he would catch Navarrete with the odd shot in the exchanges. So he was definitely in it.
Navarrete is easy to hit.
Head clash, I think would have been a unanimous. Sorry, mate.
Sorry, no, I was just saying Navarrete is easy to hit because you've got no defense.
No, exactly. And like I say, I would have said that the fight was sort of heading to an unanimous decision for Navarrete, because Navarrete throws like fuck. But it was an exciting fight. And because of the way it was stopped, I'm with you. It should be rolled back. Now, do I see a different outcome? Probably not, because of the way that Navarrete fights. But the fact that it was stopped on a cut that wasn't a head clash means that it should be rolled back. So I'm with that. But it was an exciting fight. Navarrete is an exciting fight. He is. And what makes him exciting is because he is there to be hit. He pulls forward. He takes shots on the way in. He throws shots from wide, which means he's banged through the centre. He's wide open. He sort of falls. He falls forward. He throws shots.
It looks like he does everything wrong, doesn't it?
He does. Yeah,
it looks like he does everything wrong, from feet to stance to angles. Yeah.
Nothing's compact in what he does in his boxing. It's all wide and it's. But obviously, I say, how do you train for someone like that when you don't know where he doesn't even know where he's throwing his shots from? So how are you meant to train for it?
It's done him well so far, isn't he? Mark the White world champion, knocking dudes
out. It's pure pressure output. Like I say, it's great. It's exciting to watch. It was a nasty cut though. When he moved his head and the whole thing just opened, I was like, wow. Instant, it was a nasty cut. But it wasn't a head clash.
Yeah, agree. It wasn't. As I said, the VT shows it. So anybody who's kind of lost in translation, because they thought it was a head clash, it went to the scorecards, and obviously Navarrete was up on the scorecards. If they've realised it was off a punch, it would have been a TKO for Charlie Suarez. That's why people were saying it was a robbery.
And if that was the case, it got stopped on a cut, it would be 100%. It'd be getting rolled back next, without a shadow of a doubt.
Of course it would. Yeah, it's on Top Rank, isn't it? So
it would be getting rolled back next. And so it should be the other way. The fact that it was it wasn't a head clash, it was a punch. They should roll it back.
I think they will.
I think they will, because it wasn't as if Navarrete was losing the fight. You know what I mean? He wasn't losing the fight, and then this has happened, and and it's been screwed on the cards. He was winning the fight.
Yeah.
But for fair's fair, let's roll it back.
Definitely, I think we'll be seeing that one again soon. Right. We also said fight of the weekend. It didn't really turn into the fight of the weekend. This fight's had a lot of negativity, but I'm gonna go against the narrative. I don't think so at all, because we didn't get a knockout, and because it wasn't fast flowing, because it wasn't rock'em sock'em, people automatically assume it's a shit fight. We said this was a 50-50 fight.
Yeah.
Watching this, Dave, it turned into a 70-30, 80-20 for Muratalla. I want to give him all the credit in the world. I am going to wax lyrical and give him his kudos, because he's reminded me a little bit, as we're following him on a regular basis and reviewing and previewing his fights. He's reminded me of Xander Zayas in terms of he's not just a knockout artist anymore. He's going through the motions. He's learning on the job. He's becoming defensively very good. His stance is very good. His feet are getting better. You know, when he's catching people coming in, you know, he's in and out, his distance, the control of the distance, all that kind of thing. We are noticing he's becoming a lot more well-rounded. And this was a hard fight for him. It really was. This was for an interim belt. So the winner now goes on to fight, or supposed to fight, Lomachenko. But I was impressed with what I saw from Muratalla. You don't see many fighters break the guard of Abdullayev. You've got to be a bit savvy. You've got to be a bit clever. You've got to kind of draw him in so he kind of puts his hands down so you can land, you know, the big shots, the jabs, the point scoring, if you like. Muratalla was his hand speed, the speed that was so fast, so accurate, breaking through the guard, making Abdullayev miss. You can see, mate, Abdullayev was getting frustrated. Now, I didn't know if it was a rubbish version of him or it was just a brilliant version of Muratalla. When he started to roll the dice and throw shots like that, he was getting caught because he had his hands down. But Abdullayev is a good fighter and he will come again. Maybe he'll fight at a certain level and he may win a regular belt or something like that. You know, his career's not over. But Muratalla, man, he's a danger in this division now because he's not just a knockout artist. He can box. This dude can box. And I've got up there is a composed, which he was on that Saturday night, a composed Muratalla. Is he ready for Loma? If you're putting Kambosos in there to fight Lomachenko, who me and Dave don't really rate as a boxer, we know how he gets his opportunities, fucking throw him in there. But Loma's nowhere to be seen. So we could be talking Muratalla being upgraded if he vacates, going in with Andy Cruz, who's ranked number 3. That's another wankable fight. But just going back to Muratalla versus Abdullayev, mate, that 50-50 did turn into a bit of a 70-30 in terms of Muratalla. And I was impressed with him. I thought he boxed really, really well. And fair play to him because I thought it'd be a lot closer than what it was, you know.
I do. I think it was a really mature performance, mate. I think it was a really, really mature, measured performance. Whereas where he was sort of his counter punching was amazing. You know, every time that Abdullayev sort of went to try to sort of make a feint that he was caught, always caught on the way. Yeah. And it was. I was really, really impressed with Muratalla.
You see the state of his face, Dave. You see the state of Abdullayev's face.
He definitely broke his nose. He broke his nose because both his eyes were closed.
Wasn't a scratch on Muratalla. Not a scratch on him.
It was, like I say, it was a really, really good performance. You see that they've worked on stuff. They see there was a game plan, and they executed. He was so sharp, honestly. Like he was just so sharp. And listen, you said it there. Do you think it was do you know whether it's a good performance from Montero or a bad performance from Abdullayev? I don't think Abdullayev done that much wrong. I just think that Muratalla was that good. You know, he beat him to absolutely everything. He outfought him. You know, he outworked him. He figured him out. He bossed the fight. For me, I thought it was a really, really A-star performance against a really good fighter. And for me, it doesn't change the fact that Abdullah's been beat. He's still a really good fighter. I'm not having this where people jump on there and go, oh, you weren't that good anyway. Listen, we thought it was a 50-50 fight at the time. And, obviously we've seen it now, but I
think a lot of people did, Dave. I think a lot of people going through the week were saying this is a hard one to call. 2 different styles that are both effective, you know?
Yeah. But I think that, like what you said, like the 80-20, I think he just bossed the fight from round one. He was just so switched on absolutely everything. And I think maybe the fact that people were talking about Abdullayev being that word that kept him sharp, you know. But I thought he was great. His counter punching, man, I was like in awe of it. I thought it was great. He couldn't miss, you know, but it was just like I say, he was so accurate, so sharp, so fast. He just everything that Abdullayev tried to do, he was beaten to. And, you know, sometimes you just got to put your hands up and go, do you know what? That was just a great performance. Like I say, he's made Abdullayev look average, and Abdullahev's not. Abdullahev's not. And for me, we knew he was a great fighter anyway. But for me, you said there, he's an all-round fighter now. He can do that, and he can knock you out as well. He's got the lot, mate. For me, he's got the absolute lot, and that's a massive win for me. That is a really good win and a really good performance to do it as well. He's a problem in that division, man. He is. I'm telling you, he is a big problem in that division. He's the next star in that division for me.
It's such a stacked division as well. Like I just said, it's full of talent. I mean, we don't know what's happening with Loma. He's been inactive for so long.
He's been talking of retirement for ages, hasn't he?
So if he is going to do it, just because we love him, you've got to treat him all the same. If you're not going to fight Loma, vacate the belt, man. Don't hold up the fucking division. Let IBF rules, or if they're going to upgrade Muratalla the full champion, the next in line is Andy Cruz.
Yeah.
Get them two together. You know, let's move on. Let's move forward. That's another great fight. But yeah, to end it on that one, mate, Muratalla was it was 5-star. And again,
It was great, mate. Like I say, there's certain performances that really like whet the appetite, man. He's one of them. Honestly, he's one of them. Especially with like I say, Abdullah's no mug, and like he's still no mug, and he's made a really good fighter look bang average by the way he performed, and I love that. He's a problem, man.
Yeah, kudos to his team as well, because that was his best performance yet of his career against his hardest opponent. So they've got to take a lot of credit of how they got him to fight on that Saturday night. So that was 2 weeks ago. As I said, I didn't really catch much boxing this weekend. I was out doing bits and pieces of football presentations and on the piss as I do. Managed to see this one on Saturday, though, the main fight, because there wasn't a lot going on. Dave Allen against Johnny Fisher, part 2 at the Copper Bosch. Again, my banner there, guys. The Bosch army gets boshed. Literally, me and Dave obviously didn't do a podcast last week, so we didn't give our predictions of how it was going to go. We covered the first fight over in Saudi. Was it a robbery? Not really, because it was a fight of 2 halves, but the momentum was in the hands of David Allen. You know, he put Fisher down, and we said he's got a great pair of cojones. You know, he stayed there to the end. You know, he tried his best. And I've always said, and I've got receipts on this podcast, and Dave's always been with me, Johnny Fisher's journey has been fun. It's been a fun journey, like Alan Babich and like Dave Allen, who Eddie Earn had in the past, got a few defeats, tossed him to the side like he did with Josh Kelly. It's been a fun journey, learning on the job, was at university, you know, tries to live the life now, you know, learning on the job himself with Tony Sims and things like that. We've covered his fights, Dave, haven't we? And we've said, well, he's doing this better this time than he was last time. You can see he's improved on that against a certain level of fighter. Now, as you said in the last fight, mate, hindsight's a wonderful thing. But I've got to be honest, I probably would have gone for Dave Allen to win. I don't know if I'd have gone for stoppage. Definitely not in that fashion. But before I'll let you jump in, mate, to talk about the fight itself. I mean, we could go on about talking about fucking Big Fat John, the dad, and his pathetic beef he's got with Gareth A. Davies and Spencer Oliver because they've got their opinions and stuff like that. It's making it about himself. I'm not interested in that. Fuck the Bosch army. That's come to a halt for now. Nothing to do with Little John. I'm not interested in that Bosch Chinese crap. It's nothing to do with his son in the ring. And it's kind of getting boring now, I've got to be honest. But my question to you is, brother, who the fuck told Johnny Fisher to go in and try and box like Usyk on his toes, on the back foot, looking to tire him out and take him late? That was fucking, to me, I'm a boxing fan, so I can sit in my armchair and criticise like all us sports fans do. But it looked like to me, mate, Dave Allen had a look and thought, are you fucking for serious? Are you for real? Is this how you're going to box? Okay, I'll just push forward, see if you're going to attempt to land on me, and I'll pick around when to fucking detonate. And that's exactly what he done. Why is it Johnny Fisher is learning on the job, brother? Why is he boxing on the back foot, tippy-toeing and point scoring? I was confused. I don't know how you felt, mate. I thought it's a very bizarre style in this sort of fight when he's got data on David Allen that you don't try and box him, you try and get rid of the cunt. So I don't really, but you know what I'm saying?
It was like I say, I would have backed Johnny Fisher if we'd have done the predictions last week because I felt that he would have learned from the first fight and made adjustments. And it turns out it turns out he didn't learn from the first fight. He didn't make adjustments. He didn't learn anything at all on what to do with Dave Allen. And Dave Allen must have been licking his lips when he was, because he must have looked at him for all that movement that Johnny Fisher's doing in them first 4 rounds is basically wearing himself out. He's basically doing, and Dave Allen just manoeuvred him around the ring, let him wear himself out, and then, like you said, detonated in round 5. That's what, what we talk about Usyk. You mentioned Usyk there. What Usyk does to all his opponents, he makes them work when they don't need to work, or makes them work, never gives them a break. It's almost like Johnny Fisher done that to himself, and it just made Dave Allen's job so much easier because he doesn't have the best engine. He's a big lump, and there's no way he could have kept up on his toes with all that lateral movement and all that movement around the ring for 10 rounds. It was proved in the first fight that he couldn't happen. He gassed in the first half of the fight, so it was strange tactics. It's almost like he beat himself. And he's been old manned by a Dave Allen. But listen, I don't want to kick a man when he's down. I really, really don't. He's a young man. Yes, has he found his level? Possibly. And that's okay. That's okay. The level that he's found is probably more than most people would ever dream of. He sold out arenas, and that's okay. I've got no
But
problems with
it's
that.
not over. The journey's not over. He's only 26.
No, exactly.
The matchmaking, let's be honest, Dave. Sorry to interrupt, brother. The matchmaking was, I think it was perfect. The trajectory he was going on, Dave Allen had just got off the sofa. We've all said it. We don't want to see Dave Allen again. That Fraser Clark performance was a joke. You know, his ride was fun. Not really living the life, not in the gym, got off the sofa. We all kind of thought, well, he's going to look great on Johnny Fisher's CV, this. Dave Allen, then he kind of moves on. There was nothing wrong with the matchmaking to me. Just fell short at a certain level, and it's happened again. So his career's not over. You go back and try and fight someone that's maybe a little bit a level below Dave Allen. There again, though, Dave Allen has never won a legitimate belt. So what level is Dave Allen at? Every time he's gone to the top table, if you like, he's got beat. So,
like I say, Dave Allen trained for this fight, though. He definitely did. I know he had a bit of a belly on
the previous
one, but he definitely trained for this one. He looked different in this fight. But Dave Allen, like I say, the tactics are all wrong for Johnny Fisher because Dave Allen's the best sparring partner in the world when it comes to heavyweights. They all bring him in because he's a tough man. He can take a shot. You'll get rounds out of him. So to try and do what Johnny Fisher done was just strange. Like I say, it's you can
raw novice heavyweight, for a raw novice heavyweight, you can't box like that.
No, you can't box like that. Listen, you can box, but you don't have to be up on your toes and all that movement. Like I say, he wore himself out. And then, like I say, Dave Allen smelt blood in round 5 and stopped him. It was a bad knockout. I'm glad he got up. It was, that's one of the knockouts of the year. Face planted.
That was brutal, man. That was fucking brutal. That's what people want to see, though. That's what you sign up for. It was nasty, but it was
a tasty knockout. It really was.
You know
what? Fair play to Dave Allen as well, because straight up he didn't want to celebrate. He stopped everybody. He went over, didn't he? He was very respectful, and that was nice. But he didn't jump up. I mean, Pat Brown tried to pick him up. I think he struggled. But that was once they knew Johnny Fisher was all right. But he was very respectful when he didn't celebrate till he knew Johnny Fisher was all right and things like that. But he was old man. But again, it's experience. And again, Johnny Fisher had never had any amateur experience. He's never been in these type of things. He's never had to, he's never had to do game plans. He's never had to do all these type of things. And say what you want about Dave Allen, he's got a ton of experience. And and he used it against him. He old manned him. He did old man him. He showed his experience. Johnny Fisher, like you said, he's a young man. It's not over for him. He possibly has found a certain level, but then that was always going to be. That could have always been the case.
Mate,
he's got a good
sorry,
following.
Sorry, mate. Before I forget to this out, I hate to interrupt you, but I think he needs to kind of separate himself from his dad. I know his dad's not involved in the boxing per se. But we've got this kind of hype around this Bosch army thing where people are seeing Johnny Fisher's highlight knockout reels, the casual fan, and they think he's at a level, Bosch this and Bosch that. He's getting a certain amount of eyes on him, and they're looking at that and thinking, oh, he wasn't that good anyway. But he's never been that good. But, the Bosch army that's got such a massive following, don't get it wrong, I understand how they built this brand. Yeah, so... But it's as a boxing, I'm a boxing fan. I'm not a casual fan. I'm a boxing fan. I'm bored of that. I see it on Twitter. I'm just flip. What's the point? Well, and it's kind of been associated with Little John. And I just, for me, mate, it just doesn't. The two of them don't work. I just want Little John now to go away, whether he wants to stay with Sims or whatever he wants to do. Find a different level of opponent, get the confidence back, work on a few things. Definitely not boxing off the back foot. That's for sure, because he's not that type of guy. Anybody could tell that. Like Stevie Wonder could tell that. But I just want those two things separated, if that makes sense. I know you've got T.O.'s dad and Devin Haney's dad involved in the boxing side. I know he's not involved with the boxing side, but I just think that part needs to be separated from Little John, if that makes sense. I don't know if you agree or not, but
well, like I say, the only reason it would be a part of it is because it sells tickets, and that's basically where it's got him. Got him where he is today. It's a ticket seller.
Yeah.
But if he's serious about his boxing and wants to really yes, I agree. He should go off and have a few under the radar sort of fights and then come back, with some confidence, because it was a hefty knockout and it's going to take a little while to get over that confidence wise, because one, it's not the first time he's been put down, but it's the first time he's been knocked out like that.
Oh, like that.
There'll be demons with that.
The oxygen master's out, brother.
Yeah, there'll be demons with that, and it's going to take him a little while. He's got to take a couple flush, to try and get rid of them demons. So yeah, listen, like I say, he will be back. This won't be the last we see of him, and rightly so. One loss doesn't define you. We said this before, it don't define you. but he needs a couple of knocks now. And yeah, like I say, just some people are all wrong for you. Like I say, Dave Allen's got too much experience. He's been around the block. Yes, he doesn't live the life and stuff like that, but he knows his way around the ring. So it was just a little bit too soon. But chances are there to be taken.
I didn't like the way Johnny Fisher had been brutally knocked out, and the first thing on Eddie Hearn's lips is rematch. Mate, where's your morals, man? Check he's fucking okay first before you start talking about fucking rematches and making coin off the back of him. Come on. And he's walked out with Dave Allen as well, a guy that he dumped X amount of years ago.
I listened to 5 Live podcast, and they were sort of saying Eddie Hearn done a Don King and basically just walked from one side of the ring to the other and left with the other guy. Like that was Don King's.
And that's what I meant about the Bosch Army. So Eddie's one of the best businessmen in the world. I'm not talking about his business sense because he is blue chip. I'm talking about his morals. So now what he'll do is he'll sell Dave, make Dave Allen money. Of course he will. But he'll sell Dave Allen on the guy that kind of stopped the Bosch Army. He'll sell it to the casual fan. And the casual will think, well, Dave Allen done that to Johnny Fisher. This is a casual fan talking now. Johnny Fisher's supposed to be the next best thing in world boxing. I'm going to see who Dave Allen fights next. I'm going to buy a ticket to watch him because he was really good. Dave Allen will get in with someone and look shite again and get stopped. And you think, well, they're not going to want to. And he'll put him to the side again.
They're talking about Dave Allen, David Adelaide, you know? That's what they're talking about for the British.
Yeah.
So we'll see about that.
I'd like him to get his chance of winning, a legitimate belt before he does actually decide to hang the gloves up, Dave. But you've got to remember as well, mate, before he got in the ring with Johnny Fisher the first time, we spoke about him in, was it a skate park in Sheffield, struggling to, do 4 rounds against some journeymen, 2 and 24. I mean, he's so hot and cold, Dave Allen, but Eddie kind of annoys me at times because he's kind of wealth over health of his fighters. That's how it came across to me on Saturday night. He's talking about rematches before Johnny Fisher's even off the fucking canvas,
There is a clause in their contract to have the 3rd fight, but
let's save it for another day, eh? You know what I mean? Save it for another day.
Exactly. Let the man, he's just come off a heavy defeat. Let him, let the man get over it, like.
And it's weird how the boxing world works as well, because when Johnny Fisher was on that crest of the wave doing what he's doing, us and other podcasts and fans, we were pairing him up against Moses Atuma. I mean,
I know.
It could be talking hospital job.
I know.
If that was the case, I mean, he's probably done well to swerve that, because those two are really, really chalk and cheese, But yeah, before we do our previews, I've got work tonight. It's a Wednesday night, and Dave's obviously come in for work, so we will whiz through it. But your performance of the weekend, mate, but your performance over the last 2 weekends. Where are you going to go?
My performance is Muratalla. I'm high on him now. I mean, I was always high anyway, but that performance it was basically a breakout performance for me. And it was. Listen, we've seen him before. We know what he can do, but this was like I said, a mature performance, measured performance. I thought it was great in a fight that I thought could have gone either way. And he's absolutely bossed it from the first to last, mate. I thought it was great. Muratalla for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. Because of the level I was going to go like Navarrete, because I was, even though how crazy that sounds, because it was focused on Pero so much, and I was just impressed that this guy kind of stopped the rot, if you like. No, didn't even stop the rot, did he? Because he lost. But Muratalla fight, the level he fought at, the 10-week camp, what he had, the game plan that he had, the changes that he made, the success, the state of Abdullahi's face. Yeah, you're right, mate. It's got to be Raymond Muratalla. For our performance of the last couple of weekends. Right, Prediction League. Let's whiz through this. Let's see where we are. 8-8 going into the 2 weekends ago. David pulled it back. What were you? You were about, what was the score? It was 8. Was it 8-4, something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, you won about 3 or 4 on the trot, didn't you? So you done well to pull it back. Let's see where we are going into this weekend, guys. So obviously I just spoke there about Pero against Navarro. We both went for the knockout by Pero. He didn't come, but we got a point each there. Cacace against Woods. Dave went for Cacace on points. There's a point there for Dave. I went for the KO on round 10. We got it done a round earlier, so there's 3 points for me there. Liam Davies, we both went for him for the KO. He got it done on points, so there's 1 point apiece there. Navarrete against Suarez. We both went for Navarrete. I went for 9. Dave went for 10. But obviously, it was in round 8 when it went to the card. So there's a pointed piece there as well. Add the live against Muratalla. We both went for Muratalla on points. So there's yes, went on points, didn't we? So there's hang on. Because I've rushed my notes. So that's 1 point. That's 3 points apiece there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it doesn't make any difference. So 5. Bear with me, guys. 7.
You've won it, yeah.
Yeah, I've won. I'm absolutely terrible at maths. I am truly awful at maths. I can count money, but that's about it. So yeah, just to clarify those results, David Holland got 7 points. David Graham got 9 points. Going into this weekend, I pulled one back. It's David Holland 8, David Graham 9. I'll let you have a little run, son. Now it's my turn.
You did. You broke.
Now it's my turn.
You broke the rot.
Let's see how we do this weekend. Right. One of my favourite fighters, Josh Taylor, is back in action in one of Dave's countries, in Scotland at the Hydro in Glasgow. This is up £147 for the Tartan Tornado. We spoke about toe dippers earlier with Liam Davies. This is a bit of a toe dipper for Josh, if you like. We can make excuses for Josh, Dave, his last kind of 3 performances. Don't get me wrong, the Jack Cattrall second one, he did really well, but it just wasn't enough. Jack Cattrall was at a certain level in terms of world class, and TO does TO things. So we don't really know where Josh is. And when I say not making excuses, making weight always does come up. And as I spoke about Navarrete, you go and have a look at Josh Taylor on the scales. Again, he's another guy just doesn't look healthy. He looks like he struggles to make weight, even though what he tells us, I don't truly believe it. He's in against Echo Esserman. This is on Queensbury on the zone. He's with Uncle Frank now. Josh Taylor. Echo Esserman's 36. He's nicknamed the Engine, and that is his best attribute. He is full of energy. He doesn't stop going. Gives his all. When it comes to technical ability, mate, the Josh Taylor in his prime, I know it was a few years ago, around about COVID time. This is a chalk and cheese fight. The skill set would not have just disappeared from Josh Taylor. I don't think Echo Esserman can match what Josh Taylor has in his armory. As I say, he's 36. He's the current European champion. He's ranked number 4 with the WBO, I think he is. It's Brian Norman Jr.'s division. So he's ranked quite high. Personally, I don't think he should be ranked quite that high. No disrespect. I think there's other better fighters, but he's done it on merit, if you like. He's doing it the right way. But this is more about Josh, Dave. If he's up at 147 now, looks healthy on the scales, good team around him. I think he's still with Ben Davison. Goes out there and does Josh Taylor things. It'll be an easy night's work. He'll box him, he'll break him down, he'll possibly stop Echo Esserman. If we are seeing the decline of Josh Taylor, this could be the end. This could be a massive banana skin. And Echo Esserman, mate, he ain't here to survive. He's here to get a scalp in Josh Taylor and kick on and then call out your Brian Norman Jr.'s. He beats Josh Taylor, he probably gets ranked number 1 and he'll get the Brian Norman Jr. fight. But to me, this is about Josh. I want to see where Josh is at his career. He's 34 years of age. I mean, Echo Esserman's best win is against Chris Congo. I mean, I'm not selling Esserman too well because I do love Josh. I used to love the Josh Taylor nights, Flowers, Scotland, not even Scottish. I used to get goosebumps. Love the kid. I think the disrespect he got after the first Jack Cattrall fight was disgusting. Death threats to his family, to his sister's business, and all things like that. We don't need to kind of go over all that. It's a new era. It's a new start. One last roll of the dice for Josh. Skills to abundance. Was one of the best fighters on the planet. Undisputed. Elite world-class fighter that got poo-pooed on by everybody, especially us here in the UK. Maybe because it was Scottish and the dislike for the Scots. It was a bit the same with Andy Murray when he said he was Scottish and not British. They poo-pooed on him. But yeah, I'm a hardcore Josh Taylor fan. I want him to win on Saturday, but I'm not sure what version we're going to get, Dave. So I'm kind of excited at the same time as being intrigued as well. What's your thoughts?
I'm with you, mate. I think this is going to be a real tough fight. I don't think this is going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination. But I also think it is a good, measuring stick. It is a good toe dipper to go into in a new division. he's going to have to work for all of them for 3 minutes of every round for as long as this fight goes. Because Echo Esserman is going to go on the front foot and he's going to throw a lot of shots. The only problem is he doesn't carry that much pop. That's been his issue from day dot. But he has got a good engine, so Josh Taylor is going to have to work. So it's not an easy fight for me, and I think that Josh Taylor, I'm with you. It could be a banana skin. I don't think he's going to have it all his way. I think that he's going to be pushed back, and he is going to have to show his skill set. And this is where we're going to see what he does have left. He has his performance against Teo Lopez, although Teo Lopez was great that night. Jack Hatch was beating. We're sort of. This is more what Josh Taylor's got left to offer. Now, so for me, he's going to be asked a lot of questions here from Echo Esserman. Echo Esserman's not the greatest fighter, but he's, like I say, he's got an engine. He throws lots of shots.
It's a downgrade from Teo. Let's be told. It's a downgrade from Teo and Jack, isn't it? That's what we're saying. Yeah. So if he struggles here, questions got to be asked where Josh Taylor's going, man.
Yeah, and like I say, I don't think he's going to have it all his way. I think it's going to be close. I think that Josh Taylor is going to win, but I think it's going to be on a close points decision. I think he's going to be asked a lot of questions here. I just get a feeling it's not going to be a sparkling performance. I think he's going to do enough, but I don't think he's going to set the world alight. I haven't seen enough in his last fights. I haven't seen a sparkling performance for quite a while. Now you could talk about weight, and there's factors in what in the weights that he was fighting at. Which, did he make
I think that's a huge factor, Dave. I think it's a massive factor because he looks ill on the scales. So
yeah, like I said, I'm with you. I hope he wins, and I want him to look good. But I think that the fact, yes, Echo Esserman doesn't carry, but I just think the engine on him is going to mean that Josh Taylor's got to work for every minute of every round, and that's where we're going to see what Josh Taylor what we've got left of him, whether he can keep up with that pace. When it comes to boxing skills, he wins the fight, no problem.
Should do.
It's just whether he can keep up with the pace and keep up with the relentless pressure that Esserman is going to put on him. Yes, it might not be an abundance of skill coming his way, but it's just a work rate. So, yeah, for me, Josh Taylor's going to win, but it's going to be on a close points decision.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
I'm still a fanboy, so I've still got the images of him becoming undisputed.
Seems like a long time ago that was, though, mate.
It was a long time ago, but I can't get those images out of my head. And since then, he's kind of below par against a level of opponent. Just doesn't disappear overnight, but has it disappeared over those last 3 fights? This is the intriguing thing. But because I am a fan and I have got a dog in the fight, and I want to see Josh Taylor go on to become, a multiple weight world champion as well, he's got to do something not special, but he's got to make a bit of a statement here to say, I'm still relevant. Echo Esserman's not at my level. I've just shown you what I've done to a ranked number 4 fighter. Give me the champion. I'm Josh Taylor. Don't ever forget that. That's the kind of thing I've got on my head going forward, So I'm going to go for Josh for the stoppage. It's over 10 rounds, and I want to see the best version of him as a fan. So I'm going Josh Taylor to stop Echo Esserman. I don't even think Echo Esserman's been stopped, does he? I think he's lost once. I'm not sure if he's been stopped. He lost to Harry Scarf. I'm sure he did. Either way, Josh Taylor, for me, still got something left, I hope. So I'm going to go for Josh Taylor to stop him in round 9. But yeah, I'm looking forward to reviewing that one on Monday, mate. Because as you said there, it could go to a points decision, or it could go to it could be a banana skin involved, and we will be saying, like we did with Lee Wood earlier, where does he go next?
Yeah.
But yeah, right, Mosa Tuma on this undercard, keep him busy, nothing more, nothing less. Obviously, I spoke about Navarro coming over. If he's going to go do this kind of level of opponent, just throwing shots and asking in questions, yes. Mike Balogun is the opponent. Just round 1. This is Balogun's put his hand up. Fair play to him. Going to get a few quid coming over from the States. I think Balogun was a failed NFL quarterback or something. It's gone into boxing. He's fought a certain club level of opponent. Went in with Muratalla a few years ago, Dave. Got stopped in 2 rounds. I think Gassiev landed a jab on him. Didn't want to know. Was knocked out brutally. And Gassiev, yes, he was a great cruiserweight, but he hasn't really done anything at heavyweight. I mean, Moses Atuma is bigger, stronger, faster, more explosive, and hits harder than Gassiev. So he's going to have to blow on Balogun, I think, and he'll put him over. But again, the level of opponent I'm not excited for. It's just looking on adding to the highlight reel moment knockout for Atuma. So I'm going straight in with a first round knockout. But I wouldn't normally review these kind of fights because of the level of opponent he's against. But I just wanted to just kind of sneak in the talk with this one about Martin Bakole. The vibe at the moment is putting Martin Bakole in with Moses Atuma next. I don't want a big debate on it because of time-wise, But all I'm going to say, and obviously we love Big Martin on here as well for whatever reasons. Be careful what you wish for, especially at this stage of your career. Be careful what you wish for. Martin Bacoli hasn't looked great weight wise in his last 2 performances, but he doesn't go from being a potential world champion with talent to being cannon fodder for a good prospect. Just be careful what you wish for. Give him Bacoli, yes. But if he loses, it's fucking on you. It could be too early for him. But go into the fight, mate. Go on, Balogun, and then a little your thoughts on the Bacoli being linked heavily with Moses in the near future, should I say?
Yeah, this is, like I said, this is just finding a certain opponent that's willing to get in with him. At the moment, it's nothing more than keep busy. It really isn't. And in this what round does he detonate? Now, you pick round 1. I was going to pick round 1, but I'll go round 2 for the sake of prediction league, for the sake of being different. But I think he will drop him in round 1, and he might survive. So he'll do round 2. Moses are too much. Yeah, I'm with you. Bacoli. Yes, listen. I ranted on the last podcast about Bacoli's weight, and I don't think he lives a life. And then straight after that, I don't know whether you see it. His coach come out and said that he's now got nutritionist. He's not happy about his weight. All the things that we ranted about just prior to that. But again, listen. It was only two performances ago that he smashed Jared Anderson all around the ring, and everyone's talking about what a performance that was. Blah blah blah. You know, we talk about boxing fans being very fickle, and this is another case of it. Now, we're stuck between a rock and a hard place for Ratuma, because in one hand you're saying we want him to step up an opponent, and in the other hand we're saying that that's too soon. So where do you draw the line? Now, it is, for me, it is there is other levels to make before you get to a Bacoli. Bacoli's not world level yet, but he's, let's say fringe, for argument's sake.
We should go Pulev there, Bacoli. You're talking about an in between.
There's got to be an in between. But like, if you're going to be careful with Ratuma like they have been, that for me, this screams to me Anthony Yard vibes, where he goes in with people that Binman all over the place, then all of a sudden he's in with a Kovalev. Now I'm not saying that Kovalev and Bacoli are the same, but you get my drift. There's no in between. There's no in between there. Now, if you're selling Moses Ratuma as we're building him, then build him properly. Don't all of a sudden go, but we're building him with bin men, and all of a sudden he's going in with fringe world level fighters. So that's where I sort of stand with it. Build him up to that. Now, I'm with you. I don't think that. Yes, I'm not happy with Bacoli at the moment. And I ranted about him, but I'm with you. He's not cannon fodder yet. He's still a danger. Now, if he goes and does what they say he's going to do, drops the weight, lives the life, and that, he's a fucking problem. He's a problem. So it's not a foregone conclusion that Moses Ratuma goes in there and wipes him out.
No.
So, like I say, listen. If a fight gets made, we'll talk about it, and I'll be like, let's go. You know what I mean? It'd be great. But don't turn around to me and tell me you're building him the right way. That's all I'm going to say. You can't go from a Balogun to a Bacoli. Sorry, not for me.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's basically what I was saying as well, mate. It's interesting. Just quickly on this card, you've got Nathaniel Collins against Lee McGregor. That should be a decent scrap. I think the winner should fight Liam Davies, or vice versa there. Luke McCormack's on this card as well. He's looking to progress in his career. And you've also got Alex Arthur Jr. On here. Remember the old man, Dave?
Yeah, Arthur versus Gomez, one of the fights of the year, that was.
Yeah, and you've also got Drew Limond. Obviously, the son of late Willie Limond is also on this card as well. So good luck to those boys. Arthur's making his debut, and I think Limond is 3-0. So there'll be a lot of love up there in that'd
be a good little Scottish card there. Yeah,
in Glasgow. Is your cousins going, by the way? I know they're Glasgow based, aren't they?
Yeah, no, I was with my cousin on Saturday. No, I don't think he is. He has his boys and that, but yeah. We was talking about boxing, and he mentioned Jake Paul versus Tyson. So that's a sort of sort of where he's at. So
swiftly moving on.
Yeah.
We'll go on to Friday night. Izzy Aziz and the boys are doing a GBM card. I like these cards. A lot of them have been better than some of the Matchroom and boxer cards in the UK of late. They're really putting their mark promotional wise in the UK. Terry Harper is the main event. She's in her home city of Doncaster at the Keepmoat Stadium. We saw, when did we see Terry Harper last? It was against what was her name, Dave? Rhiannon Dixon. She beat Rhiannon Dixon, didn't she, in Sheffield last year for the belt? Yes. So we kind of thought that she was done. You know, we'd seen her lose to Bumgardner, a few kind of Labour performances in between. Sandy Ryan, she was kind of pulled out on an RTD. The Terry Harper that went in and got a draw that probably she should have won against Natasha Jonas. That kind of Terry Harper we thought had gone away. I think she's got a new team, new gym, new stable, new surroundings. I think, don't quote me on it, but she looks fresher. She looks hungrier. She looks more confident. And don't get me wrong, Rhiannon Dixon is one-dimensional. Yes, she was the champion, but she kind of plods forwards and looks for hooks and quite one-dimensional. There's not a lot of rhythm about her and things like that. But Terry Harper kind of took her to school, and I like that version of her. And Terry Harper's only 28. 28 she is. I thought she was, no disrespect, because she's fantastic body in terms of she lives the life. She's never out of the gym. Do you know what I mean? She always looks fit. There's not an ounce of fat on her. She could, I follow her on Instagram and Twitter and things like that. The girl's never out of the gym. She loves it. And, fair play to her. But I thought she was a lot older than what she is. She's a multiple weight world champion now. And I hope she can kick on Friday, taking on this unbeaten German girl in Natalie Zimmerman and doing exactly where she left off against Rhiannon Dixon. No, I've not watched anything of Zimmerman, guys, so I'm not going to pretend I have. But if she boxes the way that she did against Rhiannon Dixon, her feet were fantastic. She was making Rhiannon Dixon miss, she was getting behind her jab, a lot of points scoring, looked like she was enjoying her boxing again. That version Terry Harper goes into the ring on Friday, mate. I think she'd be more than a match for Zimmerman, and I think she'll retain her titles, and then possibly we can start Terry Harper going on and becoming, unifying divisions. And I know it's going to be hard, but the level of girls that are in there. But happy Terry Harper is a dangerous Terry Harper, and she could have been the golden girl at one stage. She kind of fell off a little bit and a few bad performances, but hopefully she's back and she's in front of her home stadium in Doncaster, looking to put on a show. She's a female, she's the main event. So fair play to her. I like Terry. She's a nice girl as well. Very humble, doesn't bad mouth anybody. She has got skills. Let's see him now. Let's see him. You beat the world champion. Take care of this mandatory and let's kick on. So yeah, for me, mate, Terry Harper. She hasn't had, I'm going to go bold here. She hasn't had a stoppage in a long time, but because I was so impressed in her last fight, and hopefully she can kick on, I'm going to go for a round. It's a 10 round. Obviously, it's 10-2s. I'm going to go for a round 8 stoppage from Terry Harper. How about that?
Listen, based on our last performance, mate, anything's possible. For me, and we both did wax lyrical about her that week. That was for me was her best performance I'd seen her so far, and we'd seen her fight week. She just looked fitter. She looked healthier. She looked happier, and it almost that came out in her performance. And I thought she was fantastic last time out. So for me, I'm with you. I think that she's going to carry that on in this performance. I don't see the stoppage. I think she does, but comfortable points win. I'd go as far as to say that she doesn't even really lose a round. But I like I say. Let's talk about her fight with Caroline Dubois. They were having a bit of back and forth.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that one next if she comes through this. But we talk about people's last performances and fans being fickle. Based on last performances, Terry Harper for me breezes this fight, and I was so impressed the last time. And I hope it's we talk about 2.0s of certain fights and that this seems to be the 2.0 version of Terry Harper, and long may it continue. I was really impressed, and I'm expecting a good performance.
Definitely. Talking about 2.0s, I'd class it as an Indian summer, if you like, but you could class it as a 2.0. Maxie Hughes is on the undercard here. I think it's co-main. Age of 35 now. I thought he retired after the beating he got off William Cepeda. Yes, he was robbed against Kambosos. We saw him in the 6th round against some Greek dude on one of these GBM cards. He was getting beaten up. Found a gift from the gods, if you like, a brilliant knockout, and he's kind of kicked on. Fought Gary Cully in Monaco. Yes, I think we've kind of concluded as boxing fans that Gary Cully looks a hype job, but Maxie fucking done a job on him. Complete shutout for 10 rounds. I think the scores were 100-90 on all 3 cards. Looked $1 million. He's up against Archie Sharp at the weekend. He was coming off a loss to. You tell me and I'll tell you. Who did Archie Sharp lose to? Ryan Garner. Lost to Ryan Garner last time out, the Piranha. I think he was a favourite with a lot of the bookies. So he's going to be out looking to make a statement now to right the wrong, if you like. Maxie Hughes is literally having an Indian summer. He's looking really good. This is a kind of a 50-50 fight. This is. I didn't think I'd see Maxie in a 50-50 at British level anymore. I thought his days were done. But again, we just spoke about Terry Harper and her skill sets and looking happy what she's doing again. Maxie Hughes looks happy what he's doing again. He didn't look happy against Cepeda. Yes, the level was chalk and cheese in the end, and he did get he got beaten up. But it looks like he's fit, he's healthy, he wants it again. He's making some money. He's getting regular work. Archie Sharp's trying to rebuild his career, if you like. I know he had a few problems in the past. He's coming off a loss. He's still a dangerous motherfucker who can punch and box at the same time. Yeah. I think Maxie Hughes is on this crest of a wave, you know. And I think it's going to shock you. I think you might take Archie Sharp to school. I'm going in. I'm Hughes on unanimous decision. I think he's school Sharp. I can just see him schooling Sharp. I think he's enjoying his boxing just like Terry Harper. Gets into an ascendancy and frustrates the life out of Sharp, which will try and knock him out in the end, which starts missing, getting frustrated, and he'll pick him apart. And this is over 10 rounds for a WBC silver strap nobody cares about, but for them it's a ranking event. So yeah, Maxie Hughes, unanimous points decision, mate. What are you thinking?
I'm leaning towards the same as you. I just, we talk about Dave Allen, old man in Johnny Fisher. I just get a feeling that Max Hughes is going to use all of his experience, all of his know-how, all of everything that he's gone through, and sort of old man Archie Sharp. I just get a funny feeling that's the way it's going to go. But then you sometimes you look at Maxie Hughes and you think he's had some absolutely horrendous performances. So
he's hot and cold, isn't he?
Yeah, sometimes it boils down to what Maxie Hughes you're going to get. But if you're going to base it on his last couple of performances, then I think he's just going to have a little bit too much for Archie Sharp. Now, Archie Sharp's just come off a defeat. So, again, we're looking at him and thinking, what is he going to come with? Has he learned from his defeat to Ryan Garner? Is he going to come with a new lease of life? Or has that taken it out of him as well? So, this is a tough one to call. This really is, because a lot of it depends on what versions of each other you're going to get. So, it's a tough one. I'm going to go.
If he looked rubbish, Well, I'd say if he looked rubbish in this last fight, I would have definitely gone for Archie Sharp. I said he was too young, too fast, too quick, too hungry. But Maxie looks again enjoying his boxing, Dave, and that's a key word: enjoying.
Like I say, I wouldn't be umming and ahhing if Archie Sharp would have come through Ryan Garner. I would have just gone straight for Archie Sharp.
I agree.
But I think that he's going to. I think he's just going to have enough. Like I say, Maxie Hughes could come out there and absolutely blow him away and school him. And he could, and he does do that sometimes. But Maxie Hughes is one of them type of fighters. Whereas if you back him, he'll let you down, and if you don't back him, he fucking shocks the world. He's one of them. But I'm going to go against you. I think Archie Sharp's going to win on points. I think he's going to come out. He's going to beat Sharp by name, Sharp by nature. But I think he's going to come out and look to. I know it's a different opponent, but look to try and kick on from a defeat. So yeah, I'll go Sharp on points.
Yeah, lovely. There's a few other names on here. Reece Mole, Tyson Gallagher. She's worth having a look at. Commonwealth Super Bantamweight champion. I think the British belt's on the line there as well. Taz Nadeem and the very talented Ed Hardy. Watch out for him, guys. He's a future superstar, especially in this country anyway. Right. Last but not least, Angelo Leo, the IBF featherweight champion's making his first defense since that brutal knockout against Alberto Lopez last year, when obviously Luis Alberto Lopez went to hospital with a bleed on the brain. He's fought since, so he seems to be okay. Travels to Japan, which is weird. He's the champion, but he's making the journey over to Osaka. I don't know if this is a mandatory or a cherry-picked opponent. I'm not sure how it works. Possibly a mandatory. Could have gone to purse bids. That's why it's over in Japan. But Leo's going over there anyway. Like Angelo Leo, Kamida's been around. He seems to be around since day dot. He's I think he's 42-4 or something like that. He carries a bit of pop with him. He always seems to be in exciting fights. Any British fans would remember him fighting Jamie McDonnell back in 2015. Yeah. I think it was back-to-back defeats. I think McDonnell went on to win a full version of a WBA belt. So McDonnell was decent back in the day. Yeah, he's getting older now. Yeah, he's getting older now, Kamida, but he's still in exciting fights. He went in with a South African lad last year, Lamini. That went back-to-back as well. Look, Leo's, what is he, 5'6"? He's only a little dot in he really, but he's American, but he's got that Mexican heritage. So he kind of, even though he's a world champion, he kind of wears his heart on his sleeve. He comes forward. He's like a little Jack Russell. He doesn't leave you alone, but he's got skills as well. He sets up his shots well. He's a busy fighter. I'm going to sell this fight, Dave, to people as a little bit of a war, the war of Osaka. And I think the Americans just going to have enough to come through. There's something about Kameda when he fights at the, at the top end. I think when he fought against Ray Vargas, he came short. McDonnell obviously came short. The rest of the guys on his CV don't kind of really add up, if you like. They're kind of domestic Japanese fighters that he's a level above. So, and Leo's on a crest of a wave since he's moved up from super bantamweight when he lost to Stephen Fulton by skill set. Most people lose to Stephen Fulton down at those divisions, obviously bar and Nue. But yeah, I can sense a little bit of a war here, mate. With Angelo Lee, I think it could be the fight of the weekend. Kameda's getting older now, but he's still game. But again, there's just something that he lacks to get the job done against the better opponents, the world-class elite opponents, So because of time-wise, I'm going to go straight in here. I think Angelo Leo and Tomoki Kameda have an out-and-out brawl in the middle of the ring. I think Leo will push him back just too much in the end, where he puts him down, he gets up, smells blood, stops him. So I'm going for an Angelo Leo knockout. It's going to go right to the wire as well. This is a 12-rounder out in Osaka. I think this is about 12 o'clock at midnight, Saturday night for us here in the UK. I'm going Leo to stop him in the last round.
Oh, nice. I'm with you. I think this is going to be a real tough fight. I think this is going to be a rock 'em sock 'em. I really do. I think they're both going to throw bombs. They're both going to look to take each other's heads off. I'm with you. I think this is going to be the most exciting fight of the weekend. I always worry when they get pulled over to Japan on how that's going to go. Now, not for 1 minute saying that the Japanese, there's iffy scorecards. I'm not. But
they're not notorious for that, Dave, though, are they? To be fair to them.
I'm not for 1 minute suggesting that, but they hope the Kameda's the home fighter in this, which, like you said, is a bit strange, seeing as that Leo's a champion. He should be pulling them about. But but will that be a factor? I think this is going to be close. I don't see Kameda knocking out Leo, but I also don't see Leo knocking out Kameda. I think this is going to go to the wire. I'm with you. I think that it's going to be a full-on brawl. Really exciting. You're going to, eye-catching work from both men. I'm going to say that Angelo Leo gets it on points. I think he's just I can see it being a 116, 112 sort of situation.
Yeah.
But I can see it going either way. I think it's going to be a great fight as it goes. I actually think it's going to be a really good fight. Angelo Leo, like you said, has come off a great knockout win. Carries power.
Yeah.
Kameda carries power as well, but I think that they're both going to really go for it and put on a real show here. But I think Angelo Leo, as the champion, is going to take it on points.
It weren't just the knockout, because he's not really known as a knockout artist, Leo, coming up. He came up from super bantam to feather. It was a performance as well against Lopez. And obviously everyone loves Lopez for his crazy style and his one-punch power. He clearly hits harder than Kameda. But yeah, I think he's from a massive Japanese family that have got they're a boxing name, if you like, a bit like certain names over in the UK and the States and things like that. I think he's a multiple weight world champion, but I think he last won a title 10 years ago. So it kind of shows where he's at. But look, anything can happen, and I agree with you. It could go to points, and that's what we want to see. Even though it probably with the bookies is not 50-50, Angelo Leo probably does go in as a slight favourite, if you like. There's a narrative there where it could be 50-50 on the kind of reasons that we've given. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that, but I don't know what channel it's on. It doesn't seem to be on ESPN. It's definitely not on Sky Sports, so it could be on like a Rising TV or something like that in Japan. But either way, we'll get a stream and we'll bring you that review on Monday night. Right, just to end the show, the winners' weekly wager, guys. Last time we did it, there was £60 in the pot. We didn't actually win the Jasmina Sapatochna bidding process. We was going to put that money to. We've saved the money in the pot. Someone else beat us to it, unfortunately. So we won't be sparring with Jazz, but we'll have her back on the pod very soon. But when Dave won it last time, he went for Pero to get the job done. Obviously, he won the fight, but he got it done on points. So unfortunately, I say unfortunately, a pound is better than nothing. We earned a point, which we turn it into a pound. Dave doubles it, makes it £2. So going into this weekend's winners weekly wager, we've got £62 in the charity pot of your choice. And as I won last weekend or the weekend before, I get to pick my winners weekly wager, aka the banker. It's quite clearly obvious where I'm going to go to get that money into the pot. It's going to be Moses Atuma to knock out Mike Balogun in 1 round. So I'm hoping we will get a full house. Moses, please do it in 1 round. The charity pot will go to a worthy boxing charity. It won't be Jasmine, obviously. Yeah, I think that's the only place to go, Dave, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree. I was thinking that it's got to be Atuma. Just before we go, I want to ask you a question quickly. We haven't done any David McDonald, but it would have been mentioned in it. I want your thoughts on Jack Catchell versus Harlem Eubank being made.
You would ask this, wouldn't you? Eh?
What do you think on that, mate?
Right, how much time I got? Right. What do I think on it? Yeah.
Just breeze through quickly.
I think Jack Catchell's going backwards, and I don't blame Jack. I blame Sam Jones, and I blame Eddie Hearn, and I've said it on this podcast before, got receipts for it. He's promoted by Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn works for Jack Catchell. Eddie Hearn had 3 champions in the same weight class as Jack Catchell under the same matchroom banner in Subriel Mateus, in Liam Parrow, in Richardson Hitchens, and he could not get Jack Catchell a voluntary world title shot, let alone a mandatory shot. He's been given eliminator after eliminator after eliminator after promising him a world title shot. He's failed against Barboza Jr. He's up shit streak now, and he's fighting Harlem Eubank, who is, we don't know his level. I wouldn't have said he was Jack Catchell's level, but if Jack loses to Harlem Eubank, and I've got to be honest, mate, how much I do love Jack, he's boring. And the Eubank name probably will sell this fight rather than the Catchell name. Yes, Sam Jones and Eddie's got him paid, but he's always been adamant that he wants world title fights. This is going to be another eliminator. You know, the WBA, the WBC are going to put some bullshit belt on top of this, and it's going to be another eliminator for Jack. What's the point? Yes, getting paid. Sell it as Catchell versus Eubank. People will think it's Chris, and they'll jump on the bandwagon. It's going backwards, Dave, and it wasn't supposed to be this way. Where's he going next? Dalton Smith and lose there? I'm up for it, but Jack Catchell should be fighting for a world title. We've said it for the last 2 years, and he's not. He's going further down the ranks now, mate.
It's for me, it's lose-lose, because if he wins against Harlem Eubank, who's Harlem Eubank? You know what I mean? And if he loses, like you say, he's up shit creek without a paddle. So it makes no sense. It makes no sense to me. It came out of nowhere. I just don't think he gains anything from this. You know,
Let me ask you a question.
He wins, it don't put him anywhere.
Yeah, let me ask you a question. So Eddie Hearn has gone co-promoting George Kambosos Jr. George Kambosos Jr., as we know, gets world title shots and big money fights off of shit performances. Yeah. Eddie Hearn is a promoter for Richardson Hitchens. Eddie Hearn has got George Kambosos Jr. a world title shot as a voluntary after that poor performance he picked in Australia. Yeah. Fucking work that one out.
I know.
How and why? That was a hard sell. He must be a hard sell.
He is.
Why can't he get? And also, mate, you're going to get me into a rant now. If I was Jack, which I'm not, and I was desperate to win a world title. Now, Sam Jones has delivered for him in terms of getting him paid. I would say, do you know what? I'm better than Hitchens. I'm better than Parrow. I'm better than Mateus. I'll tell you what, I'll do 80-20 split. I'll go over to their backyard and I'll bring the belt back. I'll beat them, bring the belt back. Then I can start being the hunted again and I'll get even bigger paydays at home. But he hasn't. He hasn't done that. So I do question whether he wants to be a world title, if he wants to win a world title, Dave, or he just wants to make coin. I'm not too convinced anymore because this is dragging on now. And he's in terms of getting closer and closer to a world title challenge, mate. He's going backwards, man.
Yeah. And like I say, for Harlem Eubank, it's a great opportunity. But it's not the same opportunity for Catchell. It's going backwards.
But how has Kambosos got this world title shot? He's only been with Eddie 2 seconds. He's only been with Eddie 2 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to just get your thoughts on it.
You wanted to get a rant off me? Yeah, I thought he's going to go down the Pacquiao route. We'll leave that to next week.
Well, we'll leave that because I'll rant on that one. So let's not.
I'm going to stop talking about sanctioning bodies based on that, and that is no fault of Manny's, but we will leave that till next week, mate. But
next Monday, I'll do a David McDonald, but I'll mention news over the last 3 weeks. I'll pick the best bits of news over 3 weeks instead of just like the weekly news, and we can have a rant on a few bits. Pacquiao being one of them.
For sure, brother, for sure. Right, run over a little bit now. Off to work. Yeah. You look absolutely shagged. So you get yourself off to bed, mate. Nice cup of cocoa. Get your leg over, whatever you're going to do.
Oh, nice.
And I will see you on Monday. So
you will.
That's the end of episode 124, ladies and gentlemen. Please like, share, and subscribe. As I said at the beginning, have a great week. Stay safe. And as I always say, enjoy the bloody boxing. Dave, Masses, peace out, guys.
Take care, mate.